Okay, happy Thursday. Hey now, PASW staff, clients, and friends joining us for Thursday. Pretty much done through the week. Great week. You guys did an excellent job. Can't wait to show you the matrix results. Pretty cool. Yesterday, I hope it wasn't too scandalous with some of the Ziegfeld Folly girls, but that was the start of show business, the start of showgirls and all those things that Vegas would kind of exploit and take over later. But this was in the early 20th century. So Florence Ziegfeld, cool. And then Haydn, who, it's okay if you don't like it. My mom told me yesterday she hates Haydn, so it's not like you have to like these things, but it's good to talk about these things. You probably don't want to go to the airport, do you? I mean, nobody wants to go to the airport, but I thought we because nobody wants to give somebody a ride. The airport's just such a pain, but I thought, our school was near the airport, and what's going on over there? How long has that been going on? So, do you want to find some info about what's been going on over there? Come on, let's go. Let's talk today about the Los Angeles International Airport, or, as we all know and love it, LAX.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away.
So you're going to come fly with me, right? Okay, so LAX, fourth busiest airport in the world and second busiest in the United States. It was just a bean field in Westchester, kind of near Inglewood in the 1920s. Before that too, so it was nothing. Now, it wasn't the first airport in LA. The first was in Glendale, actually. So we'll talk about the history of aviation a little bit in Los Angeles, and the different little what's going on historically around the world too in this era. So we'll have a lot of fun. So it wasn't until the 1940s that LAX became the major commercial airline, although it starts construction in 1928, opens in 1930. So but before then, Grand Central Airport in Glendale was the first one. It offered the first paved runway just west of Colorado, the Rocky Mountains, and that was the departure point for the nation's first transcontinental airline service. So it was right in Glendale. So before we get into the history of LAX, which the X stands for nothing. LA, you need, I guess in aviation terms, you need three things, and LA is only two, so they put the X there in 1947 because we couldn't just say LA, so that's why it's called LAX, the X for no reason, but everyone knows it. So before we get into LAX opening in 1930, what's going on in the world in 1930? Well, I mean, we just had the stock market crash. So the Great Depression's happening. The year before, 1929, it crashes in October. So that's the whole world has changed. Not a good time to open a business or open, an airway field, probably. So what else happens? Well, Mahatma Gandhi, his followers began a 200-mile march in that year. Pop culture-wise, Betty Boop comes out with Dizzy Dishes. She creates an appearance. New York, we talked a lot about New York yesterday, which was exciting. The Chrysler Building is completed and opens in 1930. So, and that's the epitome of Art Deco. We've talked about Art Deco architecture. Music-wise, what's going on? I mean, we talked a lot about music, Tin Pan Alley in the 20s, but in the 30s we're getting what? Glenn Miller, Count Basie, people who've done classes on Duke Ellington. Swing music is really, prominent right now. 40s we'll kind of get to more, Sinatra and jazz, right? Bebop and stuff. So people like Cole Porter are writing, Gershwin's writing, people like Louis Jordan who's getting their start, and he's going to do what? He's going to go more into rock and roll, early rock and roll, but that's later. In LA, what's happening? Well, Let's get our timeline. This is built in 1930. What else is built in 1930? The Greek theater. We did a whole class on the Greek theater, that large, beautiful amphitheater. Pantages. Maybe over a year ago, we did a class on that Pantages Theater, Alexander Pantages. And the Wiltern, which is another example of Art Deco, is constructed in 1930. So a lot of exciting things happening even in LA. And a lot in 1930, a lot of excitement is going on with aviation because, by the 1910s, 20s, we talk about the automobile. That's really going on, Henry Ford production and all that stuff. So like most people, we're thinking, okay, well, automobile, well, how do we start flying? Now let's start flying. I mean, as of today, we're going into space now, but they're not yet going to space yet. So flying, the first flight across the South Atlantic from Germany to Brazil happens on the Zeppelin. And then Amy Johnson, she lands in Australia in this year, becoming the first woman to fly solo from England to Australia. So that's happening all in the same year that LAX is opening. So before construction or anything like that, like I said, it was mostly, there were sheep there was bean fields, there was a barley field. The land was broken up and divided into there were lima beans there for the crops, and then the 20s, a lot of acres were consolidated, and people started wanting to bring aviation and aircraft to the property that we know of, in Westchester. So it was originally called Minesfield because the real estate agent, William W. Mines, brokered this deal to bring flying over to Westchester. So it was 640 acres, and they wanted a new airport for this city. So the name became Los Angeles Airport in 1941, so about 9 years later, and then Los Angeles International Airport in 1949, because now we're getting international flights. But although it opens in the 30s, that's not the main. People are not coming in and out of that. People are at the Burbank Airport, and like I mentioned, the Grand Central Airport in Glendale. That's where most of the travel is going on until the mid-40s. In fact, another female pilot, Laura Ingalls, landed in Glendale at this Grand Central Terminal, and she became the first woman to fly solo across the United States in 1930. So in the 50s, a big tunnel was completed, allowing the Sepulveda Boulevard to, beneath two railways, and it was kind of the first tunnel of its kind. And then what's that cool building? We've all passed by it. It's very identifiable. It's the Theme Building, which is not open now, but it was an well, I think you can observe it still, but it had the Encounter, which was a restaurant, and it's so identifiable. It's so cool. It resembles a flying saucer, right? Because it has the four legs, almost spider-like, but we won't go into spiders. So the initial design for the Theme Building was by William Pereira and Charles Luckman. But then the great Paul Revere Williams, who we talked about, the black guy that wasn't allowed to stay in some of these buildings, but was a brilliant architect, helped. Remember we talked about Beverly Hills Hotel? He helped revamp that in the 40s so it could, and added glamour to a lot of places. So they brought Paul Revere, and he also, built a lot of celebrities' homes. Frank Sinatra's home, Barbara Stanwyck's home. He was super influential in the development of LA, and also Weldon Beckett, who was brought in along, and he did the Music Center. We did a whole class on the Music Center. See how all of these things are connecting? So around the year 2000, LAX has a beautification design team, and that's when the cool little letters, the kinetic installation for the LAX, gateway plions, that's when they came in. And as of now, they have plans about $14 billion to modernize LAX, because it has a lot of problems. It's one of the only airports maybe in the world that doesn't have subway access. When you think of how ridiculous that is and how advanced we are, but how behind in the times we are. It's interesting. So, but their plan is to have a 24-hour people mover, you know, and that's under construction right now. So just a brief little aviation history of LAX. It really was actually Dominguez Field was where Cal State Dominguez Hills is right now. That had the first air show in the United States. So it was there, and then Rogers Airport, which was, this is so funny to think of, Wilshire Boulevard in Fairfax, which is now, you know, where Crescent Avenue is, that hosted many airfield shows. I mean, if you look at the pictures, it's so weird to think that that's, I mean, Wilshire and Fairfax is one of the most congested areas now, but there were several air shows that happened, and Chaplin and a lot of other celebrities were, you know, flying and doing all these things. So that was, you know, before LAX and stuff. So people were playing around with airplanes and stuff. Still, probably not good to go in a small plane. I still get nervous about this stuff, but you know, just some wisdom for the kids. Yeah, you know, small planes are probably still not safest. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll leave you with that message. So I hope you enjoyed a little LAX history. That's I think it was a Bonnie-rific class, and John-erific, and Megan-erific, and also Carmel-erific, because I know Carmel likes these classes too. So thank you, Carmel, for watching these classes, and I hope this was a little more LA history that you liked. Okay, said too much, said it all. Love you and miss you, I really do. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.
Back up, let's fly away.